Starting now.
Are we starting?
Welcome to Cage Chronicles. A little bit of technical difficulty at the beginning there with Robin, but other than that, we're ready to go. How are you doing, James?
I'm good. Yeah.
How are you doing, Andrew?
Fantastic.
Cool. So we're gonna be talking today with Andrew Baggio, aka Damian Slater. Andrew's a jiu-jitsu practitioner, and he is a pro wrestler as well. So I find it very interesting, and again, I don't know a lot about it. James has been to see some of the shows and stuff. I do want to go.
Big fan.
I do want to go and see it, but I want to learn all about it as well. So we'll have a little chat about what we've been doing, and then we'll have a chat with you about the pro wrestling and everything else and how you got into it and stuff.
Great, fantastic.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for coming on anyway. How are you doing, James?
I'm good.
Good. Just got back from Jakarta. Been at the Worlds, the MMA World Championships. It's pretty full on over there, so I just got back trying to get my sleeping back to normal because it's been pretty full on. But we did come back with a new world champion, MMA World Champion in Kevin Cophamel. Jack Mills got silver, which was really impressive on his weight division. Rene and the striking MMA got the bronze. Then everyone else did really good. We took over Ryan, Luke, Josh. Who else did we get over there? Harvey. Who else? Is that it? Seven we took.
Ryan, Luke, Josh, Harvey, Kev, Ren. That's six.
No. And
Who are we missing?
my memory's like terrible.
Ryan, Luke, Josh,
Jack.
7.
Yeah, I just said Jack,
Yeah.
didn't I? Yeah.
So that's,
sorry.
if you had seven fighters.
7
and
fighters.
yourself.
We had like 23 competitors, and we ended up coming away with a
23 competitors from Australia.
Yeah.
It's all around the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like maybe 600 to 700 competitors, and there's like 52 countries. So it's like pretty big event, really good. And this time they got cash prizes for winning as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, I saw that. That was cool. Obviously, we can tell because Kev's not back at work yet. He's like obviously got his cash prize and he's out there living it up right now.
He went to Jakarta. I mean, Jakarta is a bit like Bangkok, but it's like not very touristy at all. Then he went to Java, I think, with Rene. And Josh as well went out to Java, which is more like forest and tropical type thing. And he had a bit of time there, but yeah, it was really good.
And so you're the head coach for Australia. Was there?
I was the Australian coach for Australia. There was another coach.
You have another coach.
Adam Saunderson.
Just how many? So
it was me, Adam. There was another couple that just stayed with one particular their student, and then we had Frank help me as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Frank Jankowski.
Oh, and Ryan was there.
Ryan was there. Ryan was competing.
Yeah, we didn't say Ryan before.
I did say Ryan.
I don't think you did.
Did I say Ryan?
There's a lot of CCE going around, isn't there?
He didn't say Ryan.
I pretty much did say Ryan.
Shout out, Ryan.
Can't miss anyone.
I've got you, Ryan.
Well, Frank helped me with coaching until he got hungover one night, and then Ryan helped me. So
okay, yeah.
Usual Frank the Tank excursions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It was very good. But I'm back into it now. How are we doing, Andrew?
I'm doing fantastic. We just had our big professional wrestling event on Saturday.
Yeah.
Reawakening, EPW Reawakening. So that's our 23rd annual at Willetton Stadium. Massive crowd, massive attendance. Not so successful for me, but that's all right.
What sort of attendance do you get?
I think our biggest attendance was about 900 in February at the same Willetton Stadium.
Yeah.
I think
Is that the one I went to then?
I think you went to a previous one. We've been there a bunch of times.
Okay.
We tend to get anywhere from like 600 to 900 at these events.
And what is EPW for the
Explosive Professional Wrestling? So this is the premier brand in Perth.
Yeah.
Been around for 23 years, for a long time, and you're looking at monthly-ish shows, all the way from Willetton up to Merriwa. So
nice.
We go all over, but these are our big end-of-year ones.
Yeah.
These are massive, so big
and
deal.
What got you into the pro wrestling?
Oh man.
So how old are you now?
I'm 37. I'm 37. I started at 15.
Really?
Which, you're not allowed to do that anymore. Like every school has like a 16 to 18 kind of cap at the moment, but this was the Wild West. So like there wasn't many schools, there wasn't many wrestlers.
Yeah.
So I was 15. Been a fan since I was about 11 or 12.
Yeah.
So if for any pro wrestling buffs or maybe lapsed fans, this is like 1999 peak Attitude Era, like Stone Cold Steve Austin days. Everyone was a fan, except for me. I thought this is just fake crap.
Yeah.
My dad was a big sportsman, and I was a big sportsman. I was into combat sports. So when people said there's like wrestling and this is so much cooler than all the other stuff, I was real anti-wrestling. And then peer pressure just got to me. I remember just everyone at school talking about it, and I just felt left out. So one day I was at a friend's house, probably like midnight. You know, everything was pretty hardcore, like MA rated type stuff, and he puts it on the TV, and the first thing I ever saw was The Undertaker, who was like a very like gothic, dark character, and he was slicing a guy's chest open, and I was like, this is the game for me. And I was just hooked ever since.
That's
just
cool.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
So I started at 15. I started training. There was just one school in Adelaide, which is where I'm from. We had a coach who's passed away since. He was in his 70s at the time. Yeah. They'd kind of brought him back from the dark ages. There was no wrestling in South Australia or most of Australia for most of the 90s. Yeah. And they brought him back to train like a new crop, and I came in like a year or two later. Yeah. And he just beat the crap out of us and taught us through osmosis, and the rest is history.
I used to watch it a lot when I was younger. When it was like Ultimate Warrior, that sort of stage. And like Hulk Hogan, Zeus, Macho Man, all that sort of stuff.
So he was the generation before.
I
was Stone Cold, Undertaker.
I mean, I'm aware of them. Again, like I've seen bits and pieces, but that was when I was really watching it a lot. And then I actually recently watched that Mr. McMahon.
Oh jeez,
So I watched that, and man, I was hooked. Like I was again, like I don't know how you feel about it, but like I thought, I'll watch this, give it a try, and I watched it, and I was like, what's the next one? What's the next one? It was really intriguing, like really interesting to watch.
Gotcha.
What did you think of it?
Look, a lot of the stories I already knew, because these are things that have always been rumoured for many years. It's only in the last year or two that a lot of it's come out, and there's some pretty serious stuff.
Yes.
They kind of alluded to it in the doco, but the doco was made before a lot of it came out.
That's what I was saying beforehand. It was like, it was just supposed to be about him, wasn't it?
Right,
the wrestling. And then obviously other allegations came out. So it wasn't like the allegations that I was like, obviously that intrigued me. It was all the behind the scenes stuff.
Of
which
course.
I quite like to watch.
Sure.
Because it took me back, and I was like, oh yeah, that's cool.
I think that's what early on kind of piqued my interest as well, is starting to learn about, you start off as a fan, but then you start to learn about how the magic happens. And that's what really hooked me in. Just hearing how they do things, how the magic happens. You watch all those like old masked magicians. I used to watch them all. There used to be one about wrestling. I remember it used to just like air on Channel 9 on repeats like midday, and it was all about like how they land, how they fall, how they get blood, and all this kind of stuff.
Oh man, the body just must get smashed up like so bad.
Yes.
I want to explain. I'm sweating profusely. I'm sweating so bad, but I have been just training. I just did James' class, did some rolling, and it's so hot in here, and I can't stop sweating. So just try and ignore that. I was really into it when I was younger. I watched the English wrestling, the British
World of Sport,
so it was like Giant Haystacks, Big Daddy, all that sort of stuff. And I watched it, and I used to be into it. Every Saturday, I would watch it with my dad. We'd watch it on TV, and it would be like midday or something like that. And occasionally, they'd bring the American one. It was like Survivor Series. So it was like Bret Hart and all these things. And I was like, what is this? This is like so different from like the British one. It was so much more like out there and crazy, and it was so cool. But it was only now and again on like TV on Channel 3 or 4, whatever. And then obviously when it got more TV channels, then it was on all the time, and it was like really cool. But I used to watch the Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, all the big shows. Did you ever watch it?
I watched it. I used to watch it. I wasn't like massively into it. I've still got Stone Cold figurines at home. So like he was my favorite, but and the Undertaker. But
that's my
hey,
that's in you.
So it's like I watched it, but I wasn't like hugely into it. Like you can imagine, like the Americans would be like, it's like massive. Over there, but I like followed it, was into it in that time. But that's why I went to watch him, because I thought, like when I found out that because Andrew hasn't been training at Wolvesden the whole time. You came here a
year and a half maybe ago.
So and then I found out that that's what you did, and then I asked him, like, every single time I'm teaching him in class, I'm like asking him questions about it. And so then I was like, oh, we'll go watch. So I went and took my girls and Stace, and it was awesome. So, but I do remember it was a while ago, so I've been to 2 shows, but some of the stuff was like, obviously my girls have like come up they've grown up in the gym,
judo,
in this gym with like real fighting, like professional fighters in. So they see all this, they've been doing judo, they've been doing jiu-jitsu, but we go out there, they like know it's like scripted sort of thing, and then we're out there, and like there was one bit where the ref comes. And the guy's mate pulls the ref off and like drags him out. So the guy's finally pinned him. He's got him down. He's like getting the count. And then his mate comes out and drags the ref out of the ring. Yeah. And then they're like, "What?" The girls are like, "You can't do that. You can't do that." And then he like bashes the ref. And then they're like, "Another ref." The whole crowd goes. Like the whole crowd knows everything. So the whole crowd's like, "Another ref, another." And then like this ref just comes running out, and then he slides in, and then he starts doing the count. Yeah. And then the bad guy, he comes back up, grabs him, he like rips him out of the ring. Like, so they're like, "Oh my God, you can't do that." The girl's like, "You can't touch the ref." Like, and so they're getting so into it. Like Ayla's standing up, and screaming. And then the crowd's like, one more ref. Then another ref, he just comes running out. And then he's like, I was like, this is the best. Like, there's that, is it Solomon Blackwell? He had the neck. Was he the one with the neck?
David Storm had the broken neck.
Okay, so someone had the broken neck.
Yeah.
So, and you don't know. I'm like, did this guy actually have a broken neck or not? I don't know. I don't know if it's real or not. And he comes out and he's like in a neck brace, and then they're like stomping on his neck, and the girls are like, "Oh my God, he's got a broken neck. He can't." Why are they stomping on his neck? Like, so you get fully like invested into it, even though they know. Like, it's like all of a sudden, and then I'm like, I don't even know. Did he actually have a broken neck or not? Because when you said about their bodies getting beaten up, you watch them. They fly off the top rope and they're all down here and they kind of catch each other. And then I think it was one of your mates, maybe, he lands and then he's limping. And I'm like, oh, he's done his knee. He's done his knee. And I'm like, has he done his knee? I can't tell now. And he's so for the rest of the thing, he's limping on his knee because I'm thinking, and then I think I asked you, did he really hurt his knee? I can't remember what you said because I was like, they put it so good because they literally come off the top. They just launch each other. They land down on the floor. And then I'm like, if they land wrong or whatever.
Injuries must be crazy. Because I mean, I know it's that sort of is it semi-scripted? Because I watched the Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, sure.
And it was the semi-scripted, but they don't really know, which I thought it was I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say.
Are we breaking the fourth wall?
It's long been broken.
But I'm saying so obviously, I presumed that the whole match, it was a 20-minute match, or what I used to watch, was all scripted. No. That I knew 5 minutes here, then 6 minutes here, and then I watched that and I was like, oh, the makeup was the guy. That is insane. So then there's gonna be error as well.
Yeah.
Plus you jump too far. I mean, imagine if we did a bloody jiu-jitsu thing and then suddenly I go for a flying armbar, you don't quite know what it is. Next minute, and then you pop your back or something. I think it could happen a lot. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but then you go on fully on because you need to sell it, and you're actually hitting people as well because you can't not hit them with the body. Sure. So it was injuries must be so much because when you're doing MMA, we're defending. I'm trying to defend whatever you're doing, whatever. But then you sort of letting the person do it to you and then come back. That's the worst. Yeah. It's the worst for injuries. When you got to say, let's go 50%. I always get injured when we go 50%. It's just it's the worst.
50%.
Yeah.
It's funny because...
Or when you let a white belt do some work. And that's when you get injured. Yeah.
The guy you're talking about did break his neck in a match against me and my tag partner. So he got dumped with a German suplex and freak accident. Something we've done 1,000 times and just, landed wrong, I guess. Didn't know at the time. And then, his neck was broken. Not me. I'm very safe. My tag team partner, Marcus Pitt, dumped him with a big German. But I've said this recently. The thing with pro wrestling is, yes, it is dangerous, and we are willingly throwing ourselves off the top rope. The ring is hard. There's a little bit of spring, but it doesn't do a whole lot. But the difference is we are working together. So even though not everything is scripted, a lot of it, I would say. Back in the glory days in the 80s, 90s, and beyond that, you're looking at a lot of matches that were not scripted at all.
Right.
And they would just kind of feel each other out there and go with each other. There's a lot of like subconscious cues, and there's a lot of verbal cues you give under your breath. Like you'll call things.
What if you haven't, say you did it with me, right? I'm like a brand new wrestler.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to do it. I'm going to start something with Damian Slater. I'm going to do it, yeah. But then I don't know all your cues.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to flow with you.
Sure.
If I roll with James, we've rolled along. We could like flow nicely. And but like maybe I haven't done the wrestling with you. How do you like? Do you say things to people? Or you do.
Well, it's.
Am I supposed to say that?
No. That's fine.
All right.
I would say that now, like modern era, because the types of moves are such high risk, the amount of planning is much more in depth.
Right.
I would say that probably 50% of matches are planned, like half of the match. The rest is kind of just free flowing. Yeah. But the thing is, people don't get to step into the ring and actually wrestle for months, if not years.
Yes, yeah.
So I made my debut after 8 months, which was considered quite quick. Yeah. There's people now that I train with who have trained for years and still haven't debuted. They would never get put in that scenario where a new wrestler comes in.
Not picking up the cues.
They wouldn't be able to. They haven't learnt them yet. They haven't learnt how to fall safely. Like we teach very fundamental.
Yeah.
Like we have a grading system similar to jiu-jitsu.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. That was something I actually designed for our school because again, like I said, it was the Wild West and everything was so unstructured. So I actually created a curriculum and a grading criteria. We've got 3 different levels, but the beginners that come in...
Helio Gracie over here.
I want my red belt. I got my own belt that no one else gets, just me. But for the first, let's say, 6 months to a year or so, they are only allowed to learn fundamentals. So we teach them how to fall, how to break fall, how to tumble. We teach them very fundamental grappling, which is something that was lost for many years. But old school wrestling, you learn how to grapple before you learn how to perform. And once they can get that, and we know they can keep themselves and others safe, then we allow them to do more and more and more. So it's a very progressive thing. And a lot of people don't like that because they want to come in and be a superstar.
But straight away.
We get a big turnover. But the ones that stick through it, they come up the right way and they're safe.
So everything you're saying to me is basically what I'm thinking about is MMA. I was like, you're trying to change the fundamentals. Yeah. And everyone wants to do the fancy shit.
Spin kicks.
I'm like, just freaking do the fundamentals. Because that's what's going to be important. Yeah. And then just, maybe, I'm going to jump all over the place. Sure. I'm thinking of, how long are you doing jiu-jitsu for?
It's a long story. I tell people 4.5 years because that's like my new era. I actually competed in 2009. We had
that's 15.
Yeah, but this is like on and off and more off than on. So in 2000...
You're currently 4-stripe blue belt now.
Yeah. So we had, where I was training in Adelaide, we had a jiu-jitsu gym that opened up. And this was, again, early days. At the comps, you would have like 2 in the purple belt division, no browns, no blacks. And my coach was a purple belt. I don't even know if he was a purple belt, but he would compete.
So where was this?
In Adelaide. It was called City Gym. It was only around for a brief period of time. I think there was like 4 schools that were pretty competitive. And he said we could train for free. So I was never, like I was interested in combat sports. I did it as a kid, big UFC fan, but I just saw it as I can learn how to do these pro wrestling moves the right way. So I kind of just got in it to learn a few Kimuras and...
This is what I wanted to ask is like, because you've done the jiu-jitsu, obviously you've done it, sounds like you've done it for quite a number of years, obviously on and off. And obviously now you're doing it a lot more. Do you do some of the moves, say like I'm teaching a move or James teaching a move in class, do you look at that and go, okay, that's how we do it to get the finish, can we create that into a wrestling, or have you already got the full wrestling base that you wouldn't take something from something else?
No, definitely. It's helped. It's helped. And I always found that. And like I would go in and do a class here and there and jump in on a comp stupidly because they would convince me to do it and get smashed. But when I would go in there, I would always bring back, all right, when we're locking a double wrist lock Kimura, this is the correct way to do it. And I was never taught that. Because like I said, there was just such this black hole in the 90s where all the old timers left and they all came up through grappling, through catch wrestling mostly. They all left, retired and everything. And then you had this new age of wrestling and everyone was trying to run before they could walk. And it's still like that to this day. I'm trying to change that, but grappling isn't taught. So people are learning pro wrestling, but they're not learning correct technique. And I would go and just do a little bit here and there, bring it back. I would do catch wrestling. I went to Japan for a few years, and they had their own little style of like grappling. Learned a little bit, brought it back. Never enough to be confident and be able to have a game plan or understand principles, but enough to know that this is how you lock something on. This is how you protect yourself. This is a cool move we could do that we've never learned before. Things like that.
Well, to me, it's like the principles, like same for jiu-jitsu, for boxing, Muay Thai. If you don't have the principles, then how could you put a whole scripted thing together? Like, this is how we move here. This is how this works. So you need to move this way. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. To have like a system that you've created is really good. I think it's necessary.
That would be the difference though between like it looking completely realistic compared to it, like those crowds that go, you know, like how many people in there are black belts in jiu-jitsu, right? So they don't. You're doing your Kimura. Whether it's right or wrong, they don't know. So it doesn't matter. But you're just trying to get it as authentic as possible.
Yeah, they might not be able to say it, but they can subconsciously see that guy's submission looks better than that guy's.
Yeah, so if you do it the right... It's like when you watch a movie, you know? Like you watch a movie and as soon as... When I see something realistic in the movie, I'm like, I love it. I'm like, yeah, sick. But if it's like, unrealistic, like the guy's just like... choking him out here, like one arm.
It's like any way you do a job, then you watch a movie about that job. You sat there watching, that'd never happen. That'd never. Like you see someone putting a chalk on, it's like, well, that's not correct. You tell it's nowhere near. But then if you got a basic, you've got a good idea, and you've just won. Well, you should have won the gold.
Yeah, should have won.
Controversy.
Should have won the gold.
Yeah, but like you just did the comp. Submitting everyone. You know how to do it properly. You know what I mean? Like you know how to do it. So. That's a big difference, and I think people should do that because it's going to come across better when you're doing your pro wrestling. Sure. So it sells it better as well, you know? Yeah.
It's safer too. Like I teach the guys, if you know how to do an armbar correctly, you also know how to work an armbar. It's like, you know, I've had a lot of guys come in from MMA and stuff and start doing pro wrestling, and the ones that did a lot of striking, like boxing, kickboxing, I actually found they picked up on the strikes a lot better. When you would think like, oh, they'll come in, they'll be stiff, they'll be not used to pulling back and working the strikes. But when they train, they work the strikes, right? They're not trying to take each other's heads off, they're pulling back. So they actually come in with that base, whereas guys off the street with no athletic background, they come in and they sock you in the face, and we've got to teach them how to like pull back. And
the ones who are boxing, they've drilled it thousands and thousands of times, you know, that's a big difference. We have guys coming in here going from, say, karate to boxing or boxing to MMA, but they have that fundamental, and it's a little bit hard to change, but they have that control as well. That's a big difference, I think.
A lot of guys in pro wrestling, to peel back the curtain even further, almost complain that I'm too light. But you wouldn't know that from watching. I think when I wrestle, it actually looks quite intense and brutal, but I am very light because I know where to push a limb without snapping it, without hurting someone. So I think it's good on multiple fronts to actually learn legitimate grappling.
So it's like learning how to sell it. I mean, you got like Jean-Luc has obviously done some wrestling before, one of our other students.
Shout out Jean-Luc.
Shout out Jean-Luc,
teriyaki tofu.
Jean-Luc does the kids classes with James as well, teaches, and like I'd always use him for like a demo because he sells it so well. And everyone's
especially
like,
if you're doing takedowns. You're like, Jean-Luc, come here.
It's hard to break that though. It's hard to not like post and flip yourself. And
oh, that's what you want though, because especially when you're trying to demonstrate takedowns, right? A takedown's like, it's all or nothing almost. Like if you're trying to do it slowly, you're trying to show all the steps, and the guy like kind of is really stiff and awkward, and people just sit there looking, going, this wouldn't work unless I 100% hit this takedown on this guy right now. No one believes you. And you're like, guys, look, in real life, this is how it would work. But so you get someone like yourself or Jean-Luc, you can kind of do it slowly, and you jump into it. You know, like you'll jump into it, break, fall, boom, land right there. That's so what it would look like. If you do it at
full speed, full power, off a setup, this is how it's going to look.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm drilling it now, so
which is what.
Chill out.
It's actually, which is what, like, so you and Jean-Luc do that really well. That's what when I'm training judo, the judo guys do that really as well, because obviously all day, every day, mostly takedowns to the ground. Yeah. So you'll jump into everything. Yes. So, but like when you're doing MMA or jiu-jitsu, they're not. It's like they're trying to keep that low base. They're doing this, they're doing that. So they're not used to just jumping into the takedowns to like kind of. So that's what. Yeah, it is good getting you guys for those demonstrations. Yeah.
I had to unlearn a lot of it. I think in the first couple of years where I started doing jiu-jitsu consistently. Because I just found that was always my biggest feedback was just you're being too light, you're not putting enough pressure.
Someone goes for a takedown and you're like,
you're just
myself. Flying over and he's like, whoa, that was easy.
It's like Andrew today.
Exactly. Andrew's just like,
it's Christmas time. So when did you come up with the name Damian Slater as your pro wrestling name?
Again, I was 15.
You went in 15?
Yeah, wow. You got to come up with an alias and everyone had their little alter ego. Yeah. How I got it.
We're probably lucky it's not like Johnny Skulls 69 or something.
Man, that was my email address.
At 15, Johnny Skulls 69 at Hotmail.
I come up with different stories. From my memory, Damian was from South Park, who was the son of Satan.
Oh, yeah.
And Slater was off Saved by the Bell, AC Slater.
Oh,
so I just put those two together and there you go. So
I would not have put that together. How you got it?
Polar opposites. Like, maybe if it was nowadays, I'd probably change it, but it's a bit too far gone.
So you had like a big break from jiu-jitsu then? So you did
USA, I did a couple comps in 2009. Went to Japan for a bit. I trained. So I moved here 8 years ago. My wife's from Perth, so she forced me to come here. But just before I moved, I started to get a lot of big opportunities overseas with some of the major companies. And that's when I got back into jiu-jitsu because I thought, I want to have something different. It was a very competitive field. Yeah. And they were starting to focus more on cruiserweights. Whereas typically everyone in WWE were like, just jacked to the gear, 6'5". They kind of are again now. But for a couple of years there, they were looking at cruiserweights and they started targeting me and they scouted me. And that's where I was like, man, I'm surrounded by like 30 of the best cruiserweights from around the world. I want to maybe like bring a jiu-jitsu base. So I started training with Nick Hughes, who I know you've trained with. I trained with him for ages. He was always a big fan of our wrestling, so he'd come to all our shows.
Batman Hughes?
Did you train with us over there?
Yeah.
So he was the head coach at Trinity MMA back then. Now he's started his own mat lab. Trained with him for a bit, did the whole deal in America and stuff. And then when I moved over here, that's when I moved over here. I went to UFC gym when the first day they opened. Again, it was just every now and then jump in, do a class, learn a few things. But COVID was what got me into it full time. Yeah. Basically, long story short, all my big opportunities kind of dried up right before COVID. Right. It was almost like perfect timing. All these doors, like the three biggest companies in the world kind of who were looking at me kind of all shut their doors simultaneously.
Because of COVID or no?
No, this is before. This is 3 months before COVID.
Right, okay.
So I kind of in January of 2020, I was like, well, all my opportunities dried up. All my contacts are kind of dropped off. And then COVID happened and our gym shut down like anyone for months. All the shows ended. Even when that all ended, we weren't allowed to have certain numbers of people. So we couldn't really run any venues. And that's when I was like, if pro wrestling isn't going to go anywhere for me, I can finally grapple. And I'd always loved it, and I'd always had this kind of regret. I was like, but I didn't have the time because I was pursuing so hard. And then I was like, no, I'm going to do this properly. And as soon as the restrictions lifted, I started coming 4 days a week, put the gi on for the first time, and I haven't stopped since.
That would have been in 2020 then?
July 2020 is when I started doing it properly.
And so that was at UFC
At
gym?
UFC gym, yeah.
Under Aaron?
Aaron, yeah. Phenomenal coach,
UFC gym is no longer, but...
Saltwater Jiu-Jitsu is what it's called.
Aaron's got Saltwater Jiu-Jitsu, but then you came to Wolves Den.
UFC gym shut up shop. He started Saltwater, I think, a month later, but... I was living at Queen's Rocks and I just had my daughter. There was all these things.
And
basically,
John Luke and
he'd already
Cara,
come here, I think.
Came from UFC gym to Wolves.
Yeah. So he was wrestling with me. He was actually one of my trainees. I kind of got him into jiu-jitsu, but then they came here before I'd left. So I was there till the end. Yeah. And then when they shut up shop, I just saw that as a good opportunity to go somewhere.
John Luke was already here.
He was already here. So that was.
And found the best gym in Perth.
Yeah. and then you've been training since then. So you already came here as a blue belt.
Yeah, I'd already been a blue for
probably
a couple of years.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
But
now you're nice and consistent.
Yeah,
you competed the other day. With, what was your results on the competitions in matches?
I had 3 matches. First was a draw, and then two armbar subs.
Yeah.
So I got the silver.
You say that's your favourite submission armbar?
No.
No. Really?
Oh, like anything arm related, I tend to go to, like Kimuras, arm bars, all sorts. No, I just kind of found it. It just kind of happened.
That's cool.
I had a game plan going in, and that was part of my game plan. It was kind of like the tail end. If I can't get this, or this, then I should be able to find an armbar. And fortunately, it all kind of happened as I imagined.
No, that's good. That's like, to me, I tell everyone, like, look for what you want to get to.
Yeah.
Like, what you want to get to from there. Somebody that's going, I'll just do whatever happens.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, have an idea of what you want to do. What's your favourite submission?
Yeah.
What's your position? Yeah. Let's try and get there. You might not get there, but obviously you did get there on the competition.
Yeah.
With the wrestling, do you have a signature move?
I've chopped and changed over the years, so we usually try to have, at least the people that wrestle my style, we usually like to have one signature submission and one signature impact move. So mine.
Talking about Damian Slater.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
What's his special move?
Yeah, so my submission's called an STF, step over toe hold with face lock. It's a bit of an old catch wrestling move.
Yeah.
My impact move is called the Slatality, taken straight from Mortal Kombat. And that's like I kind of made it up. I kind of stole an idea, chopped and changed a few things, but essentially I pick them up, I drop them on their head.
So how would you go about demonstrating that to us on James right now? I'd like to see it.
Nah, no thanks.
I'd like to see it. What about the toe hold one? Can you show me the toe hold one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go.
Yeah.
After.
Let's go. Show it now on the video. We need the video.
After. Yeah,
we'll get some B-roll footage.
We'll get it on. I want to see it. I want to see it full speed. So we'll clip it in. Yeah.
I think because you'll notice, like, sometimes, like, if you're in my classes and I'm teaching, I'll sometimes, like, I'll ask you, like, I'll be like, oh, what do you think of this? Or have you seen this? Or do you know a different way of doing this? Because I always wonder if just through your wrestling background, have you come across a different way, or like something from like out of left field that I might not have seen, and you might have, like, I don't know if you notice that, like sometimes.
Sure.
Because I always wonder, does that might play, like Steve's asking, does the jiu-jitsu help your wrestling, and then like vice versa. So you're saying the wrestling sort of is probably making you a bit light in the actual jiu-jitsu, but I always think, like, you might have done something different, because I see you teaching. So is that your own school, or how does that work?
No. So I don't run the EPW school. I'm the head coach there. They run it, they fund it and everything. I just kind of do the work for them.
Because I see you, because on Instagram, I see you teaching down there and stuff.
Right.
I mean, you've tagged me and stuff before, because for warm-ups that you do. You're like,
so that's... But
I always think, like, you're down there teaching all the time, you're working stuff out. It's been 15 years of doing that.
Right.
And so sometimes I'll just be like, oh, what do you think about this? Or do you do a different way, or seen a different way where it might help, might come across, like...
I think because half the time, like, when I've thought of created moves, it's just from flowing around and moving. And again, like, probably like 3 or 4 years later, I'll see that someone else had already created it, but I didn't know about it. So then I think that's what you're getting at, isn't it? Like a movement or a flow, like, into a position.
Yeah, I mean, I ask you about, like, sit-throughs and stuff. That's probably like one of the most recent ones I can think about. Like, sitting through, like, someone's got front headlock position. Like, when I teach a sit-through, I say, like, bring your elbow all the way back to the sky, chest up, try and knock them off. I see a lot of people, like, sit through with the elbow to the hip. And so I asked him, because I figured, like, wrestling, catch wrestling, you might have something there, so, like...
I think the catch, as I said, the problem is a lot of us didn't come up with a heavy grappling base. It kind of got lost over the years. So, so
that was, like, more a performance thing.
More
like,
performative,
like, sell it, make it look good, like...
I was lucky enough, we had a catch wrestler he was from Wigan, I believe he's from Wigan in the UK, which is where the Snake Pit is. That's like the catch wrestling a school place gym that's kind of like catch wrestling has kind of died off a little bit over the years, but catch wrestling was so big in pro wrestling way back when, and all the pro wrestlers were catch wrestlers. But it kind of got lost. But we were fortunate enough to have him come down, and he actually taught us catch wrestling at EPW years ago.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that helped me a little with a lot of things where I'd kind of learnt half the technique, but not all of it, and I'd been doing things wrong, and that helped tighten up a lot of things. But honestly, I think just because I've been such a nomad, that's helped me in a lot of ways. Like early days, UFC gym, I was training with Ramel Luistra a lot. Jack Becker a lot. Those guys, in the first year, there were all these other coaches who were coming in before they went and started their own schools. So being able to go to different places has helped heaps on just getting different techniques and different ways to do things. Yeah. But I wouldn't say pro wrestling has helped a lot. I think it just helped in the very early days, learning jiu-jitsu. All right, guys, we're going to do, side control into a arm bar or whatever. Yeah. I know what an arm bar is. I might not know how to execute it perfectly, but I know what it is. So I know the terminology and roughly right positions. So I felt like I picked up on things pretty quick early on. But obviously, jiu-jitsu is a bigger game than that, and I still hit roadblocks like everyone else. Yeah. But
a lot of the stuff for your matches are from catch wrestling or not?
My style, yes. In wrestling, a lot of people, in pro wrestling, people have different styles. You have your high flyers doing acrobatics. You have your power wrestlers. You have your more like character, comedic. I was always drawn to the submission style, what they call technical wrestling. There's not many of us. A lot of people fear it. I think because it is so complex. But for me, like when I came in at 15, I was skinny, fat. I had no athleticism. I had no agility. I couldn't backflip like everyone else could. So for me, this a bit like James now, yeah.
Don't talk to your professor like that. Jesus.
I'm on the other side of the table.
Come Monday, mate.
So submission, I was drawn to that because I felt like I understood it, and it wasn't as difficult as the more athletic, acrobatic type stuff. So I was drawn to that. So for my style, a lot of it comes from catch.
One of the lads who used to fight for me in the UK, like, there's a couple of us teaching MMA right at the beginning when it was like Wild West, and he's doing catch wrestling now. He does it a lot. He had a match against Josh Barnett,
great,
over in England and stuff like that.
I just want to say that we could have had Josh Barnett come here and teach us. But Steve was like, no one knows who Josh Barnett is.
I would have been there.
I wanted him.
He's like my number one guy.
Still might be able to. Might be able to. Don't panic.
But it's cool. He still pro wrestles, and he runs his own pro wrestling company called Bloodsport. They do a lot of like work, shoot type stuff.
But he's from the pit as well, huh?
Yeah, and he still goes back. There's a YouTube video went up yesterday. He went back to the pit and trained there.
Still an opportunity.
He'd be sick, eh?
Yeah, man.
So
please.
Hey,
he's wrestled a lot of my teammates, a lot of my colleagues.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So there's a perfect example of like a pro wrestler, catch wrestler,
does everything,
MMA fighter, jiu-jitsu practitioner, everything.
Yeah. When he tapped, who did he tap? I watched it yesterday. With the Keza Gasami.
Oh, I don't know, but he did go against one of the Gracies, didn't he?
Possibly.
Do you remember? I think he went against.
What, in MMA or grappling?
Nah, grappling.
Okay.
But anyway, so
it was at I think Metamoris 4 or something.
Who was that against?
I don't know why I'm forgetting. Big name, jiu-jitsu guy. But yeah, he tapped him to the Keza, so that was like, for us, that was
just
like
with the body, like that little mini
the crush, without the leg, but just the regular Keza.
I call that the mini crush.
He got it with like 10 seconds to go in a 20-minute Metamoris. Right. He was wearing his like Speedos, like looking like full pro wrestler, and man, the name's going to come back to me.
He did a lot of Japanese wrestling as well.
Yeah. He wrestled in Japan for a long time.
Just ask young Robin. Can you just like get that up for us, please? Young Robin.
Josh Barnett.
Metamoris 4.
Metamoris.
I think it was number 4.
Yeah.
If only we had someone that could like Google this for us right now.
Yeah. She's there. She's just checking her Facebook.
She's sending messages.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to kick myself because I know who it is.
Yeah.
So the lad who used to train was called Chris Crossan. Shout out to him. And he's
what was his name? Chris Crossan.
Yeah.
Dean Lister. That's the one.
He tapped Dean Lister. Oh, that's a good get.
Yeah.
See if he.
That was only a few years ago.
See if Josh Barnett went against any of the Gracies. I'm sure he went against one of them.
Yeah. Although he's a heavyweight. I don't know. Any Gracies heavyweights? Like they would fight.
Roger Gracie?
Yeah, Huron Gracie. That's what I said before. It's Heron. R's are H's in Portuguese.
Yeah.
So I'm like Hames Hollinson. Professor Hames Hollinson.
I was going to tell you.
You're going to get gym stormed for that. You're going to get gym stormed for that.
Like Reagan Rumbold, he'd be like Hagen Humboldt.
Very good.
Yeah. It's good, eh?
Yeah. Now on, that's what it is. Yeah, it's wicked,
see, he went against Heron. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because that's Henna and Heron are the brothers that have like the Gracie University and all that. That's what I said. He's like Helio Gracie over here making his curriculum, and he's got like online universities, like, which is funny to be honest, because all jiu-jitsu, a lot of jiu-jitsu now, I mean, I've had this rant with you a million times, right? 6 a.m. in the morning, I like get on a rant.
6, 7, 8.
It doesn't matter when it is in the day. Yeah, I get on some serious rants. They're all pushing away from, I mean, like the Gracie's way of like really like structured jiu-jitsu and like,
is this something we've discussed a few times
yeah,
before?
but it's funny to hear him say like this is pro wrestling. This is something completely different. This is like a performance, like an acting, a show, entertainment, and then he's having to create a curriculum and a set of skills, and this is how we're going to do it, and drill it and practice it a million times over and over before we let you go out there. And then it's like you see this happening here. People are trying to get away and just be like, just let loose, be free, no structure. We just want, like in jiu-jitsu schools, like we just want to be. It
depends on jiu-jitsu schools, because you got like Gracie Barra.
Yeah, no, they're not. But I'm saying like there is a push. There is a push to go. Yeah, you've got like Gracie Barra. They're still following a curriculum, and like when it comes to getting a blue belt, you know, you need to know this exact set. But then you've got schools going like the way opposite way, where it's like, you know, we're just coming in and like there's no hierarchy, there's no like ranks. Like you're basically anybody can do whatever you want, and you can.
I just can't get my head around some of them. Like for absolute beginners, like okay, well, this is triangle chalk. Figure out how to get out of it.
Yeah,
it's like it just doesn't comprehend for me. They need to have some kind of structure.
Yeah, so that I mean that was interesting to me to hear that he's I mean he's been doing it for 15 years, and then at what point did you create that curriculum sort of thing? Did you
when I first moved to Perth, so, probably like 6-7 years ago.
So halfway through. Yeah. So you've been doing. So
I've been wrestling 22 years. So.
Oh well, there you go. So so like more than halfway through your journey, you went something's missing here.
Yeah.
We need to like, and then you've like gone back towards like a structure, you know, like obviously you can have way too much.
Of course, yeah.
But it's like,
I think one of the biggest risks is you don't want to stifle creativity with what we do, because it is a performance, and if everyone works the same way, it's boring.
Yeah.
So I'm very highly structured in the fundamentals in the beginners, but then as they become more advanced, then it does become a little less structured, more open. But yeah, it was just like pro wrestling was so in the shadows. It was almost like it was taboo to talk about anything to anyone outside your gym. So you learnt the secrets of the trade, and you couldn't break kayfabe is what they call it. You couldn't spoil it. You had to keep the secrets. But the fact is, it got spoiled in the 80s and 90s when Vince McMahon came out and said this is entertainment to avoid lawsuits, basically.
Right.
And what I found was because of that, the knowledge wasn't spreading. Like I would go overseas and bring back knowledge to my gym, but no one from other gyms around Australia could learn that unless they did the same path. So that's when I saw online as an opportunity to spread those lessons. And, you know, it's a risk because a lot of the traditionalists are like, you know, why are you spoiling it? Why are you? But I think it's been overwhelmingly positive, and it's helped a lot of people from everywhere. So, I think bringing that structure in has been very important. And like, to be fair, everything I've done, I've stolen from mixed martial arts. So I see the way that jiu-jitsu guys do their instructionals and their Patreons and all the rest, and I say, hey, literally no one in pro wrestling is doing this, and this would help us. Let's apply that with this kind of lens.
I mean, I do the same for like MMA, Muay Thai, boxing, jiu-jitsu. I travel so much. I train everywhere I travel. I just steal as much stuff as I can and then try and mold it into the way I want to teach it. And then I think just like then it comes across it's very different from a different gym. You know, like, if it's really structured in that, I believe in structure. You need to have a structure and like a way to go so you understand it, especially when you're starting. But then you need to have your own feel on it. And just go around doing with different places and go, well, I like what you did here. Not really keen on that. but I'll steal that from you. I'm going to steal that from you. I'm going to make it my own, and then I'm going to create it into my own system, you know?
Yeah, which I think, I mean, that's totally fine because you steal these things, and even when you, like, teach a class and you teach it, like, the way you've just been fully taught it, I mean, sometimes you'll be like, I learned this from blah, 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 at blah, blah, blah gym. You know, you will do that. But even if you don't, it should be, like, acknowledged or known. You know, I'm a black belt now, but I didn't just get there on my own with no one teaching me anything. I'm standing on the shoulders of Steve, Reagan, Ian, all these people that have like built me up along the way. I get to like stand on their shoulders. I get to take all their knowledge that they've given me, and then I'm adding to it my own stuff and finding new things as well. But it's like, I didn't just get to this point and then now I do. Steve does it like this, but I do it like this. But the only reason I might be like doing it like this is because he's taught me it this way, this person's taught me that way, this person's taught me that way, and then you find your own way, you know?
You find your own way, you feel your body type and your movement, and then you teach it, like, okay, I'm really tall, like in compared to some of the other lads. I'm going to do it this way, but maybe it's not going to work for you. So maybe you're going to do it this way. And you go, I've got a better way because I'm used to being this size. You know what I mean? Like, so it's that as well. There's all different variables coming into it.
But if you're a white belt and you say you got a better way to me, get out right now.
To be fair, there's a few white belts.
But it's like, you make your jiu-jitsu your own. You know, you get like you said, like with your wrestling, you had to come with something different when the Americans are like looking. It's like, everybody's going to, I'm going to teach you everything, but this is like me. I try and teach other ways. Like a lot of the time I'll be like, Kev does it like this, you know. I don't do it like that. This is what you might like the way Kev. Steve, you know, I'm not good at S-mount. Yeah. Steve's great at S-mount. I always say that. I'm like, Steve uses this S-mount, does this, does that. I'll teach it just because I can't do it or I'm not good at it. I'm still going to teach it because this guy here might be good at it. But it's like you're standing on their shoulders on top of all their years of knowledge. And then that adds to me and then I get my knowledge and then the person that comes up. So you've got to like give it.
It's the same with MMA. Like certain people who are like, you have to tell them exactly what to do. If you tell them exactly what to do, they will do it exactly how you do it, and they perform really, really well. Other guys in the gym, they're a bit more like out there and flamboyant. You can teach them to a certain extent the fundamentals, but they've got this different flair, and then they'll do stuff. I'm like, what did you just do? Like, it worked. But they've got their own flair, and there's like all different types of structure when you're teaching, and it'd be the same for the rest. I would imagine.
Absolutely. Yep. Some people they learn different ways. I've learned that. I'm a teacher in my real day-to-day life, and I've learned that through teaching. Is that
what you called as a teacher?
What am I called? Like, what's my name? Probably can't repeat it on the podcast. Sir, no, I'm not sir. We're not sirs. No, just Mister. But yeah,
they just say Mister, don't they? They don't even say a name.
No, they don't even. They just yell.
They just go Mister.
No, I'm Mr. Baggio. That's my name. That's my. Yeah, unless they come to the shows and then they'll come the next week. Oh, Slater. They figured it out.
Like you said at the start, you want to keep them all in line. You want to keep them all structured. You're like, don't, you know, but as it grows, and that's how a good teacher or a good coach or whatever, you're at first, you're like trying to stop them and then they think like you're trying to stifle them. But you're not. It's like as you grow and get better, I'm going to let you start to like look outside. But it's like when they get too like crazy straight away, and you're like, all your fundamentals say, great, you can do a berimbolo, but you can't even stop me passing your guard. Let's just.
But they don't understand at the beginning. I mean, you've been in the corner now a few times for the MMA, and you can see what I mean. I was like, stick with the fundamentals, and then they do stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and again, it's like it's craziness because it's like stress. I mean, it'd be stressful doing the pro wrestling as well. I mean, when I used to train back in the UK, there was a coach, one of my coaches called Mike Carr, and he was doing a lot of pro wrestling at the same time. And he would get paid for doing pro wrestling shows in England. And a couple of times he asked me to do it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And then as it got closer, I was like, I'm shitting myself. I'm like, I'm more worried about that than doing an actual MMA fight. Like, it was really scary. And that, I mean, I would do it now. But But like, so you got to get me on next show. No. Me and James.
If you're with me, not against me.
But it's like crazy.
Steve just starts panicking. He's like just choking everyone to sleep. Like, I'm unconscious.
If me and James come to the show, can we get in the ring?
You've got to sign a waiver first, but yeah, maybe, yeah.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Man, I seen him throw a woman.
Yeah.
Amber, was it Amber?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just like chucked her off the top of the turnbuckle into the floor. It's like, how high is that? It looks massive.
It's the same as a regular ring, so yeah.
Didn't he like grab her by the neck and he's just like...
He gave her a suplex.
He just lifts her, launches her
I've got a 1 foot disclaimer.
Yeah. Masters.
Otherwise I'll break.
It is unbelievable. They're all down there. They're like, and then she just comes flying, and they're all like, flat on the floor.
Yeah. Look, there's ways to do things to make them look effective without the injury, but...
Look, it's worth going to watch. I
definitely want to go. I'd love to.
It's really worth it.
Yeah.
To be honest, after spending 14 years training, like martial arts and stuff, and being with pro fighters and being in the corner for MMA fights and stuff like that, and then I went to that and I was like, so good, like worth your money, like yes, it was awesome. So. Yeah, and blows you away a little bit. Like you can't believe some of the stuff.
Maybe like a coach's trip, like out, like go to the next one. I'm always trying to find things to do with the guys and stuff. That'd be pretty cool.
But then when Andrew loses to Jesse Lambert,
that's not going to happen again. Not going to happen.
Is he the number one?
He's a distant
P
number.
plater.
250.
Is he still a P plater?
He's still a P plater. He graduated from L plates.
Yeah.
No, his character is that he was a learner wrestler.
Yeah.
So his character was that he didn't know how to wrestle, but he would kind of like fluke his way into doing good stuff. That was kind of the one James went to. I had a main event championship match against him, and unfortunately I couldn't get the win.
He let me down.
That was the referees. That was the whole like extra referees and rubbish and
How do you come up with your persona and stuff? Like, what did you think about? What did you want to be? Because I know there's again from watching things, there's a heel, and then there's like obviously the hero type thing, and
you kind of lean into a lot of what you just enjoy in the real world, I guess. I always was drawn to the villains, so
is that what you are?
95% of my career I've been a heel.
Yeah.
But it's also up to the company. Like sometimes the promotion might have an idea, hey, we need this certain type of character, or I see this character in you. That was Jesse Lambert had that. Like they saw him training and were like, you would make a great loser, basically. And they gave him the character. But it's a
everybody loves him though. Like,
it's worked. He's like the ultimate underdog.
Yeah. They go off like when he won.
That was
that time.
Upset of the year.
I was spewing. The girls are like, what? What? Like, that was so
just
mad.
that little bit better than you.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. But yeah, it's you decide. You can decide as much as you like, but ultimately it's the promotion who gives the green light. Yeah. And if they don't like your idea, they won't use it.
Is EPW just WA then?
Yeah.
Right. So it's not Australia.
There's promotions everywhere. There's usually at least three in every city.
Right.
EPW is the top Perth one. We get the biggest crowds, longest running. But I work for other ones around Australia.
So which one would be the biggest one in Australia, would you say?
It would be, I would say it'd be between, there's three, so EPW in Perth, Melbourne City Wrestling in Melbourne is massive and has a big following. They get, like local celebrities coming to their shows and getting involved. And then I just did a show for Slam Pro Wrestling in Canberra. Yeah. I'll give a shout out to Kane. He trains at West Coast Jiu-Jitsu, but he actually runs Slam. Yeah, he told me to give him a shout out. He runs Slam from here. He used to live in Canberra, moved over here recently, and we had a show the other week at the AIS, which got 2,450 people, which was like the biggest attendance in Australia, I think, ever. Right. Outdrew the WWE there by got triple their crowd at the same venue. So I'd say those three are doing well, but a lot of them use the same kind of rosters. Like they have their core local group, but then you got the same guys kind of traveling to each city. Right. So do
you get to travel a bit, like going around Australia?
Not as much anymore, but I still do a bit here and there. Like I probably in a year I might get 3 to 4 interstate trips. Right. It used to be every second weekend I was traveling, but not so much. Is that because
of work and family and things like that? Or?
I think honestly, COVID jacked up the costs of flights a lot. Right, we used to have a lot of budget airlines like Tiger and stuff, so it was cheap to bring us across. And I was living in Adelaide too, so flying to Melbourne's like a 45-minute. It's nothing. Or we could drive, and they would pay for our petrol or whatever. So being in Perth is harder in that respect. But yeah, we still get out and about here and there.
And then obviously like the goal of like obviously saying in MMA, the top goal will be going UFC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then there's other promotions, PFL, Bellator, all the different promotions around the world.
Yeah.
So what would be obviously the top one would be WWE.
Always WWE.
And then what would be like the second and third type thing?
For the longest time, the second you would probably say is New Japan Pro Wrestling. I was able to work for both of those companies in Japan.
So what did you say?
New Japan.
Oh, sorry.
They're called New Japan. NEW, New Japan.
Oh, yeah.
But so you worked for New Japan and WWE?
Yeah. I did one tour with New Japan when they came to Australia in 2018. And I did the Cruiserweight Classic for the WWE in Florida in 2016.
Oh, cool.
So that's when you were like getting, obviously...
Yeah, getting a lot of look-ins, a lot of tryouts. I did a tryout in America. I did a WWE tryout over there, WWE tryout here, two or three tryouts here. But now you've got AEW, which is backed by a billionaire who a few years ago decided to throw a bunch of money at all the unsigned talent. And they're doing quite well as well. So those three would be your biggest promotions.
And what happened with the doors shutting? Just didn't work.
They don't really tell you, so it's really hard. You can come up with your own assumptions. Being an Australian does hurt, I think. We have a lot of Aussies who have made it. A lot of like people I've trained and people I used to wrestle with are currently there, full-time contracts, making a lot of money and doing cool things. But to be an Australian, you have to relocate. They have to pay for your visa. So it's a long-term commitment. When I did my tryouts and then wrestled for the WWE, I was already 29, about to turn 30. And there's always been this kind of invisible cutoff. They'll never blatantly say it, but you can kind of see it in the wrestlers they sign, but 30's like max. Like if you're 30 or in your 30s, you better be ready like today because they have to invest several years to develop you.
It's like 35 for UFC. Like
for
MMA,
UFC,
MMA,
yeah, 100%. So it was that kind of thing, and I did that with them. It seemed to go well. They were still in talks with me for about a year or two after, and then the conversations kind of dry up. They stop responding a little bit. The scouting, the people in charge of scouting lose their job. New ones come in. They don't know you. And eventually it's just kind of like, I see the writing on the wall. So that happened with a few companies. Because I've had friends in all of those companies putting in a good word and trying to suss things out for me, they've kind of said, look, they're just not looking right now. And that just is what it is.
Would you ever change your name and persona and stuff like that? Would you ever do that?
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
You haven't done it since you were 15. So
of course I've changed. My name's always been the same.
But you've changed
I've changed the persona over time. It's evolved from when I was 15 to now, two very different people. Yeah. It's constantly evolving. The
always
character.
A heel?
Oh, not always. Mostly, though. Mostly. But see, when they're scouting, they don't care about that kind of stuff because they can mold you. They can make you whatever. Like you go over there, they're going to change your name. They're going to give you a character. They're very like hands-on. It's not like here, this is independent level. We do whatever we want. And the company says, that's cool or no. Over there, it's like, no, it's like acting. We need this character for this role.
They have writers, don't they?
They have a lot of writers. They have Hollywood writers.
Like, was it... Yeah, I've just heard on Rogan, like, it's Ric Flair and that's been on Rogan, they talk about, like, the writers. I think Tony
Hinchcliffe got asked to be a writer.
Yeah, it was going to be
He turned it down, I believe. So Freddie Prinze Jr. was a writer for many years.
Yeah, so they have actual writers.
Proper creative teams in place.
Do you find, like, I think you were saying, so Kane trains at West Coast Jiu-Jitsu?
Yep.
So what belt's he?
He's blue.
So he's blue. Do you find... I don't know if that's the same guy, but I think John Luke was telling me when we were at Mera, there's like that big, massive guy. Who's that?
That's Kane.
That's Kane, right? Yeah, so he's
mega jacked.
Huge jacked dude. And then John Luke's like, he's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. I was like, holy shit! Like this dude is massive.
Well, so he got his blue belt after 6 weeks. Yeah,
after 6 weeks.
6 weeks. So he did Greco-Roman growing up. I think in his 20s. And then just pro wrestling. But when he moved over here, I believe he trained at Coringa first. And he did like 2 tournaments and just smoked everyone. Just absolutely ran through everyone. I think he must have been at the Merrill one because I was he would have been
John
there.
Luke and he was telling me all about this. And I was like, whoa. He was like, he just blitzed everyone. And now he trains under Hennon at West Coast.
At West Coast, I think, So he's trains there at the moment, but he's loving it. Kind of just got the bug straight away and he trains constantly.
So are you finding that more wrestlers are going to jiu-jitsu or not really? Would you and him be the only...
No, Overall, yes, and I've seen a lot of WWE guys have been going to jiu-jitsu in the last few years. There's Karrion Kross, who's a current WWE roster guy. He's a brown belt. You've got like Batista, I think, is a brown belt or purple belt. There's a whole bunch of other guys who have gone in the last few years. It seems to all struck, but Australia not so much. There's a few, but not really. You might know Chris Trio. He was on.
Yeah, I know Chris Trio.
So Chris Trio, I used to wrestle with him back in the day, and then he got into jiu-jitsu after his pro wrestling ended. He's now a brown belt in Melbourne.
Yeah, I think is that immersion.
Sounds like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he's been on Battlegrounds. So
Yeah.
I remember because he got he did gi. He snapped a guy down, got a loop choke from standing on Battlegrounds.
And they fell off the stage.
And they went off the stage, and it was sick because I was like, I like that. I love that standing loop choke. And it's like, I mean, ideally, like, you know, you're talking about like you want a little plan. It's like if you said, what's your plan for your comp? Well, I want to just snap the guy down, loop choke him straight away, and then walk off. Get the tap, and I'm done. I didn't have to do anything. That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And like he almost had it. He was over the top. I think he was a purple belt at the time.
Yeah.
He fell off the stage.
Yeah, they went off.
Both fell off the stage.
He had the loop choke, and they were kind of like going around, standing.
Hey, they both stuck the landing. They both landed on their feet.
Yeah, because the stage is like probably about this high. So. I think he's a brown belt.
Yeah, I saw that.
So he wrestles too. I
used to wrestle with him in Melbourne quite a bit, and then he just gave wrestling up. I feel like it's a natural thing because pro wrestlers we learn some submissions and a bit of grappling and things like that. And when we leave wrestling, you kind of go two ways. You either retire and then unretire 15 times, or you retire and get something else that kind of ticks that box and scratches that itch. And I feel like a lot of people have gotten into jiu-jitsu and martial arts after wrestling instead of during their pro wrestling careers. So I'm trying to push for people to go during. But I get it.
But then you got to fit it all in, don't you?
It's so hard.
You're down there at EPW, and then you're trying to get in here.
I'm only once a week, so that helps. So I can be here 3-4 days a week. But years ago when I was taking it very seriously, I was training multiple times. And then the gym comes into it, like the aesthetics are very important. So I was training 5-6 days a week in the gym, hard.
Oh, yeah.
And then...
Same as you.
Yeah. Still does. Like, you know, day-to-day life, family, all the rest, jobs, coaching on the side. It's hard to manage it all, and then traveling on the weekends. So I get it. I get why it is hard for them to balance both. And the cost as well.
And jiu-jitsu is like pretty all-encompassing. So it's like, I'm going to try and learn jiu-jitsu and learn how to be a pro wrestler at the same time.
Like I said, I was doing like 1 day a week for a few months, and I would leave it for a bit, come back, and I felt like it was all gone. It was only when I started consistent that I actually started picking it up and understanding it.
So Kane, who got his blue belt in 6 weeks, how consistently does
he's very consistent, extremely consistent. He trains, I think, most mornings, 6 a.m. Yeah, and he's into it. He's been doing comps. I think he's going to do another one coming up. So
was he? He didn't compete at Masters.
No, he was there watching. He was supporting, but no, he was just holding the camera for me. So.
half of the guy went against in the
yeah, that's one of his coaches.
Nice.
Yeah. So he loves it, but he's still deep into pro wrestling as well, and he has 3 kids. So like all of us masters, we're all living the family life, and
it's cool.
When is your next big event?
So February 8th, we have another show at Merriwa. I think that's the only Merriwa show for next year at this point. So Cannington
What's
is
the venue for that one?
It's the True North Church, but it's not actually the church. We use a room that they use, so we hire that out.
Right.
So it's nothing to do with them. But
so it's actually like a really good...
it's a wicked venue.
Yeah, it's a wicked venue. Yeah. It's like super in tight, low, like...
Maybe we do that one then.
Yeah. It was cool. Cool.
It's at the Point. It's called the Point in Merriwa.
And it's close.
Super close. Yeah. Which I think I'm on that show. I'll find out. But there's that. Cannington's one of our regular smaller venues that we run. We do Scotch College, same as Battlegrounds. So we did Scotch recently. I think we're probably going to try to go back this year, hopefully. And then Willetton's our big stadium end of year shows. So February 8th is the next one. EPWperth.com is our website. Mosh Ticks for tickets. But a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll see what the fights are, because February is when the MMA kicks in. So they got lots of different fights, but go check the dates and stuff.
And you can get some Damian Slater merch.
You can. I sell T-shirts.
Where do you get that from?
the merch stand. No,
I just get it from you when he brings it in for me. But
merchbunny.com.au, I believe, is the website. So I sell stuff online as well, but otherwise, the merch stand.
Yeah.
Sell my tees. We try to supplement our massive income from pro wrestling.
That's awesome, man.
That's sarcasm.
Cool.
It's massive if you're... Some people, I remember you were telling me like about a few of the people that have made it and then they're getting...
Oh, yeah.
I think you were telling me about one guy is just like... He's not even like on the shows, hey, but he's just getting paid.
Yeah, no, you get paid to sit in catering. Even if you're not getting booked into their current storylines, you get flown in like every week. And all the major companies, I
ask lots of questions in the middle of class. He's trying to drill. I'm asking him questions about pro wrestling. I'm meant to be teaching him. And then I'm like, how much money do you have?
So when you're teaching, you're talking, is that what you're saying? That's like,
I'm sure.
That's blowing my mind. That's blowing my mind. Yeah. All right, well, thanks for coming on today.
Pleasure.
I said it's super interesting. Like I said, I'd love to come and see a show. That'd be cool. And I'd love to bring the guys down, especially the coaches.
Yeah.
That'd be a really fun event, I think. You
Yeah,
know?
for
and
sure.
Then we could all just storm the ring.
Yeah. It's had nothing to do with me.
It'd be really fun. But like before...
Not if Kane's in there, though, because he would just be like launching us.
Yeah, just avoid his match.
Yeah, and he's a blue belt, so he's going to be like defend.
But we'll round it up now, and what we'll do is we'll get a video of the special moves. And
Yes.
Then we got to do the special moves, and then we'll add it on the end.
Fantastic.
Yeah, cool.
I'm going to sell it.
You won't need to sell it, brother.
Hey, I'm going to sell it. McMahon. Oh, he's out now. Who's in now?
You can't say McMahon. That's taboo.
Someone's in now. Who's the big
Triple
win
H.
now?
Triple H.
Okay. Give me a contract after you see these sick moves.
Wait, how old are you?
Which one's my camera? Hold on. Which one's my camera?
Are you over 30?
My camera? I can sell this right now. Look, which one's my camera? No, that one's pointed at him. I need my own camera right now. And yeah, I'm 38 years young.
Wait, you're not 6 foot though, right? Yeah.
No.
4 or 5, I think.
I don't know, man. It's working against you.
I'm tiny. Every single photo I see of the whole wall when we were standing there, I'm like, why am I so small? Why am I so... Steve can get away with his size. He's a black belt. Everyone wants to tap him and he just smashes everyone. I got to work for my submissions because I'm tiny.
Yeah, I got no skill. All right, thanks, Steve, for coming out. Is there any Instagram or anything like a website you want to promote?
Yeah, Instagram is @dslats. I run a Patreon, world.wrestling.com. That's where I train pro wrestlers online from all over the world. But yeah, you'll find me, Damian Slater, on most platforms.
OnlyFans.
TikTok, there's no OnlyFans.
Just the feet.
There's going to be OnlyFans coming soon, 2025, OnlyFans.
Definitely not coming soon. Nope.
Damian Slater and Professor James, OnlyFans. We're going to collab.
He's out. Okay, thanks for coming in today. Thanks, James, I suppose. All right, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
See ya.